A very good evening to everybody, and thank you very much for the packed house. Looking forward to a very interesting panel. I see a very distinguished panel here, and just to introduce myself, I'm Manu Puri. I'm an energy partner with EY. Largely what we'll be talking about today will be GCCs on the engineering side and the oil and gas research and development, which is a lot of work that's happening over the last 10 years since I've been part of the industry and I've been working on this. Let me introduce the distinguished panel that we have. We have Monte Dobson here. I think he's a legend. I've been working with him for a long time. Monte leads the ExxonMobil business activities in India, where the company is building a long heritage of chemicals and lubricants and pioneering in establishing LNG market in India. Most recently, Exxon is also leveraging the abundant talent in India by rapidly building the business and technical and business services. And just to let you know, people who do not know, this is his last day in Exxon. He's retiring, but we have the privilege of having him as part of the panel. So thank you very much, Monte, for making it. Next, Akshay. Akshay Sahni is the country head of Chevron and leads the Chevron's new engineering innovation excellence, which is called Engine. Most of you would have heard about it, and they've recently established this center in Bangalore in Karnataka. Akshay has a doctorate in petroleum engineering from Stanford and an MBA from Duke University. In addition, he has a BS degree in mechanical engineering from Punjab University in India and MS in petroleum engineering from University of Punjab. He has authored about 20 technical publications and holds about 3 patents. He joined Chevron in 1998, so he's been here for an extremely long time as a research scientist, and since then he has held numerous engineering and management roles. Welcome, Akshay. Thank you very much for making it today. We also have Varsha. Varsha joined BP on 7th December 2020 and is the Vice President of GBS and HR of India Operations. Varsha was in Vodafone before this, and she has as the global head and accountable for a very large portfolio of commercial, technical, and customer services. She started her career in Styria Zansa. For about 11 years she was there, and the head of vertical and the BPO center head. Thank you, Varsha, for being here. We also have Dr. Alok Sharma. And Dr. Alok Sharma is the Director Research and Development for Indian Oil. He's a chemical engineer and an IIT Delhi alumnus. He has made many significant contributions to the Indian sector in process, projects, and production. During his initial tenure at Gujarat refinery, Dr. Sharma played a pivotal role in establishing India's first hydrocracker unit from 1994 to 1997. And thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. We have Mr. Ajay Mehta from Shell, he's heading the engineering technology as a Vice President, Engineering Technology and Chief Engineer R&D for the Shell Group. He's currently based out of Bangalore, where he also heads the Shell's Technology Center, which is called STCB, which most of you would know. Ajay also leads a global team of scientists and engineers who provide subject and upstream, downstream, integrated gas and renewable energies. Over the last 27-year career at Shell, Ajay has assumed a broad range of technical and leadership roles in deep water exploration and production. Welcome, Ajay. And last, we have Mr. Lalit Aggarwal, who's the MD of SLB, the erstwhile Schlumberger, most of you know, but it's now called SLB. He's a distinguished leader in the energy sector, graduated from the prestigious Indian School of Mines in 1994 with a degree in petroleum engineer. Lalit's nearly 3-decade career long in SLB, so he's also been at SLB for an extremely long time. Began as a field engineer in India, quickly rising through the ranks and expanded his professional scope across different functions and geographies. Welcome, Lalit, and thank you for making the panel. So I'll straight away dive, and I'm sure most of you are very anxious to hear all the panelists, and so am I. So maybe starting with you, Monte, what do you see as the most compelling, so this is for GCC, as the most compelling aspects in the Indian GCC ecosystem, and how does ExxonMobil intend to use and win the business? So if you could just add something on that.
Thank you, and thanks to the audience. It's an honor to be here and be able to talk about such an important subject. I would say, to make it very direct quickly, I think the most compelling aspect of the GCC system in India is talent at scale. I think those 2 words, the abundance, the quality of the talent, the scale of the people that any of us on the stage could choose to hire ourselves, but also the fact that there's a strong ecosystem of MSPs and other potential partners. So there's a bit of a secret recipe to find between how much work you ought to do yourself versus how much you ought to leverage the rest of that ecosystem. So we've now had about a decade of our own journey in India, in which we've gotten very comfortable with the quality of that talent and the ability to leverage it to solve global problems across all aspects of our business. At the same time, over the last 6 or 7 years, our corporation has actually been reconfiguring itself in a very deliberate way to leverage our own scale, right? So the thing I would say for us is that we have a corporation that has very purposefully configured itself such that we can play to the strengths of India and we can fully leverage it, highly confident in the talent. So that means to me, looking back on our journey and my almost 31-year journey, if I was a young person in the audience, I would enter energy because it's a compelling career for you. If I was here in India, I would enter it in the GCC space and with us, because I think you're well positioned because of the moves that the corporation has made to fully unleash your own capabilities and have an outstanding career across all aspects of the energy business, serving it from India.
Great. So could you please add on, how could you highlight some areas where GCC will help India beyond your own employee base?
Yeah. Another very important question, and I'll really lead with an example of one that is quite interesting to us at the moment. Globally, energy equipment is building energy equipment is a very big business. We anticipate by the early 2030s that will be about a $200 billion a year global business. To compete in that, one needs high quality technical talent, abundant labor, ports, all ingredients that you can imagine in your mind's eye. India has all of those ingredients, yet today India is a relatively small participant in that global ecosystem. As we've grown that part of our business in India, the bright people that we've hired have highlighted to us all of the opportunities that are available in India, and we're now very committed to trying to increase India's scale, its share of that $200 billion a year global business. So I think as more people grow in India across ourselves and across my colleagues to my left, across their businesses, they're very smart people, they had a ton of opportunities, and they're gonna know the opportunities that exist in India, and because of the GCC strength that India has, they're gonna highlight many new examples as powerful as the one that we're really excited about today.
Great, thank you very much, Monte. I'll come back to you. I think I have some thoughts on that. But Akshay, coming to you, you are the, I would say, one of the oldest companies, but latest entrants in the GCC space. A very unique name called Engine, right? It's an acronym, I know, we've just named that. For your GCC in Bangalore. Could you let us know what's the story behind Engine and what does it represent?
Well, thank you first of all for having me on this panel, and it's been a great week at the India Energy Week, and congratulations Monte on your retirement, well deserved, from one reservoir engineer to another. The Engine stands for Engineering and Innovation Excellence Center, and it's intended to be a state-of-the-art technology hub to support Chevron's global projects and operations. And indeed, this is a significant milestone in Chevron's 145-year-old history. This is the largest center outside of the US where we are headquartered. And the work that we plan to do at the Engine is going to be meaningful, impactful, and cutting edge. So the types of work that we want to bring to the Engine will include complex technology solutions, be it for our complex processing facilities where we want to improve their reliability. For example, in LNG plants where we chill natural gas to minus 160 degrees centigrade, it's a complex process. Or supporting our deep water assets. These days, we have technology to drill at depths of 34,000 feet or more in high temperatures and pressures. So this is the type of work that we plan to bring to the engine, all underpinned with a strong focus and foundation in AI, in high-performance computing, as well as data science and analytics. We are thrilled to be here in India, thrilled to establish the engine. We also want to build a culture that is close-knit. It is very collaborative and connected so that we can deliver high-quality work products out of the engine. So the engine is like a startup, and we are just firing it up. But we give the employees at the engine an opportunity to work on some of the most complex technology solutions that will deliver affordable, reliable, and ever cleaner energy for this growing world. So that, in a nutshell, is the engine.
Thank you very much, and I've got some thoughts. I'll come back to you on that. But Varsha, you've been here for a long time. Obviously, BP has been, and I meant BP. And the presence has been expanding. You have got alliances. You're going deeper in into India's growth, and the way we see it, and we'll touch upon that aspect, that GCCs are now becoming more and more part of the India growth also, rather than just being a center where at the back office, but that's no longer there. So if you could just share how the center is helping BP's business delivery overall. On that front, if you could touch upon, that will really help.
Thank you, Manu, and I'm, as usual, delighted to be part of India Energy Week. I think it's already a huge amount of progress that we have a panel focusing on GCC in the 3rd edition. Personally, having spent over 2 decades in the industry, for me, it's I have seen really the evolution of our GCCs from being captive transactional centers to becoming strategic assets for the enterprise, as you know, Monte and Akshay have also talked about, you know, the impact that these centers are making for the global businesses. As far as BP is concerned, I think we were a little late in the game in terms of starting our GCC journey. We started in 21, right in the middle of pandemic, with the setup of our global business services. Predominantly, we started with finance, procurement, and customer, and we very quickly pivoted to getting confidence and credibility within our enterprise to get into technology, and now recently also in Technical Solutions India, which is our engineering center. We also do people and culture, which is our HR transformation processes. And also we have a big engine for transformation, which is looking at end-to-end process standardization. So just in the last 4 years, we have ramped up to about 3,500 people. We are very much at the heart of BP's operations, not just globally, but I think I'm really, really proud to say that the recent TSP that we have signed for Mumbai High with ONGC, a proud moment for us, has definitely been enabled by our technical solutions team based out of our BTC in Pune, and they've been part of the squad working on this bid for us. We have also signed an MOU with EIL earlier this week, and that is really to build collaboration, to build capability to support oil, gas, and refining for BP globally. So I think we consider our business and technology center very much as a strategic asset. In the 4 years of our footprint, we've already started to also make significant global impact. 3 things I think I would like to just call out where we are making impact through the use of technology, process, and talent. One is digital twins. So we've started to use digital twins technology, which is basically to create the, the physical assets in a virtual form, and really use that to enhance our safe operations, efficiency, as well as reliability in some of our big sites like Glen Leon in the North Sea and also Thunder Horse. This is enabled from our BTCs, in our technology BTCs. The second I'd like to call out is the use of technologies like AI and ML, and we are very effectively using this to create impact in our systems maintenance space, so with preventive maintenance. We are also using it, interestingly, to improve our working capital reliability and maximize our credit limits. We have used AI to develop an engine for factoring. So really in terms of enabling our CNP business and really optimizing our accounts receivable up to $8 billion through the use of AI. And I think the third thing is we are using increasingly data science, insights, and analytics to further improve our operations, further establish efficiency, safety in our operations. And that we are doing, for example, by finding the most efficient sites for our hydrogen and wind farms. We are also looking at our EV sites through the use of data and insights, and that is just creating more access for EV usage as well as for our renewable energy. The other thing I'd like to call out from our BTC, I think is, we're partnering a lot with, we made some strategic partnerships, for example, with Microsoft around AI and ML, and we really hope to use the engine that we've developed here to further impact our strategy around the energy evolution.
Thank you very much, Varsha. Great points. Coming to you, Dr. Sharma, IOCL is India's largest downstream oil and gas company. You do run a very large R&D. In fact, the talent that you create benefits all of us also at times, right? So you do run a large R&D which has many innovations to their name. Can you please share with us how is this set up and what all R&D work happens in your setup?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Puri. And see, we are passing through an energy transition, and we are also changing the domain from fossil domain to energy domain now. And as far as Indian Oil is concerned, we have our R&D at near Delhi in NCR. We have an R&D of about 65 acres. We have the facility, and we are there in all the domains of energy. We are also setting up a new R&D center, which is about 10 kilometers from the old center. It's about 40 kilometers from here. So as far as R&D is concerned, we started way back in 1972 with the lubes, when there was an embargo for the import of the lubes. So we have started with lubes, then slowly we shifted to the refining technology, then we shifted to catalyst side, then petrochemicals, then alternative energy. See, now we are chasing a very special goal which has been given by our Honorable Prime Minister, that we have to be net zero 2070. So in line with that, all the oil and gas sector in India, they have announced that their net zero goals, though it will be scope 1 and scope 2 only, the national goal is covering scope 3 also. So how to achieve this net zero goal? There are 4 or 5 pathways, I will say, and accordingly the R&D is shaping up at Indian Oil. It can be through energy efficiency, it can be through renewable energy, and then there are talks about biofuels, hydrogen, carbon capture. So we are working on all the facets of energy. The main focus right now is on the energy efficiency. So in the recent past, we have come out with differentiated products, we have come out with differentiated lubes, we have come out with differentiated fuels. There is a product called Extra Green, which can give you 5% more mileage than the normal diesel. Then we have extra combo sort of product where we can have diesel as well as the lube, giving you an overall advantage of 9% efficiency. Then we are also working on special catalyst for catalyst side, where we can improve the energy, energy requirement can come down from the conventional pathways. So our focus is right now on the differentiated products and catalysts and other things. On the efficiency side also, we are working how can we improve in the refinery operations also, process intensification and other things. So that is one thing on the energy efficiency. Then on the renewable side, we are just putting up the solar and wind farms. As such, no R&D is being done at our R&D center. On the biofuel side, we are quite active, and we are working in the area of 2G ethanol. We are working in the area of enzymatic interventions for producing ethanol from fermentation processes. Then we are working on the CBG, where we can improve the methane contents of the CBG. So CBG, then ethanol, and then we are also working on SAF production. So we have already worked and we have done a lot of co-processing in the existing units, where we can use the used cooking oil and we can make the SAF, because there is a mandate which is likely to come in the coming days. So SAF is one thing, and then there are a lot of things coming up, because I think in coming days, ethanol maybe will become a central point, I will say, because we have to add ethanol to gasoline. We are already at 20%. Then ethanol will be used for such a sustainable aviation fuel, A to J process. Then there are talks about using ethanol with the diesel also. So we are doing studies with ethanol and diesel with 2.5 and 5 and 7.5%. So these sort of things, like to create differentiated fuel and to indigenize source of production of energy. So those are there on our radar. And then coming to hydrogen, we are working a lot on the hydrogen side. We had the first hydrogen station. You must have seen the fuel cell buses running. We have developed 15 fuel cell buses along with Tata Motors, all indigenous except the fuel cell, on which we are working. And we are working on development of process on the biomass gasification, because we feel that electrolysis may take some time to be cost effective. So we are working parallelly on the biomass gasification, and we are going to set up a big plant. We have already developed this technology with ISC Bangalore. There is a Premier Institute in India. Then we are also working on the type 3 cylinder. We have also developed type 3 cylinder indigenously at 350 bar, which can be used for hydrogen storage. This is again done with an institute called IIT Kharagpur. So we are working on all the facets of hydrogen production, then storage. We are also working on material-based hydrogen storage, because I feel that if we are able to crack that material-based hydrogen storage, then it can be a game changer. And then parallelly, we are also working on the carbon capture and utilization. We have developed a new technology, which you can see in our stall also, where we use enzymatic intervention to reduce the temperature of desorption, which is quite high. So we are using an enzyme to reduce the temperature of desorption of CO2. And then again, we are working on the CO2 capture to some special product. And also CBG reforming to hydrogen is also being, we are working on that also. So there are many things on which we are working. I think we are trying to cover all the facets of energy, and the new center will also be more focusing on the demonstration and other things. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, and I think really proud that so much work is happening out of India, and we'll definitely come back to you on how would that be used and how do you bring it to market. But coming to you, Mr. Mehta, the engineering setup of Shell has been there for a long time. You have technical asset operations that is out of Chennai. You have Shell Technology Center in Bangalore, which has been there, I think, for about 10 years now. What has been your experience over the years running these facilities, and do you think India is the right place for R&D?
Yeah, great. Thank you for that question. And indeed, we have been in India for a very long time, 96 years actually, to be precise. So we have a long history in India, but we certainly were an early mover in identifying the opportunity in this GCC space. So we came back in a much more significant way about 20 years ago. Started much more modestly in Chennai in finance operations in the early 2000s. And then that very quickly led to an expansion into conventional IT operations. And then that became the launchpad for very rapidly expanding into Bangalore and setting up global centers of excellence, whether it be in the digital space, in the classic technology spectrum, or to kind of build a type of a center which is on par with our technology centers in Amsterdam and in Houston. So what we have at Shell Technology Center in Bangalore is first among equals of three major technology centers that we have, where the kind of the research that we are doing here is world-class research. GCCs, unfortunately, sometimes often get associated with kind of being, quote-unquote, the low-cost centers, and nothing could be further from the truth. Wage arbitration and wage arbitrage is perhaps the least important reason for us to be in India. Really, the reason for us to be in here is to tap into the vast reservoir of talent and capability that exists in India. Not just in terms of the technical professionals that are available here to work on complex problems, but also to tap into the broader academic ecosystem and the startup ecosystem, which I truly believe is massively under-leveraged in India compared to kind of the investments the oil and gas sector anyway has made in other countries. So now we are at a point where we are 13,000 strong employees in in India, including our centers, of course, in Bangalore, as well as the technical assurance operations base, which has expanded dramatically in Chennai, where we are able to really provide services and technology development to the world. You know, our remote operations center, which is a combination of work that we do in Chennai as well as in Bangalore, is currently serving 35 of our assets globally from India. You know, and that's turned out to be a really, really great, experience for us. From a technology, core technology development perspective also, as I said, we want to be the originators of thought. This is not some sort of a back office, a glorified back office for work that gets originated in Houston or Amsterdam and then comes here to do kind of the back end of that work. It is the front office for R&D. You ask about, is India the right place to do R&D? You know, in addition to kind of the external ecosystem, we have some really great examples of how we bring these different aspects of, hardcore engineering technology and digital technology together. You know, one example I can give you is some of the work we have done in our CanSolve technology. It's a carbon capture technology, where some of the core engineering work in terms of how do you improve the efficiency of carbon capture, how do you minimize the parasitic energy consumption involved, or how do you improve the kinetics, how do you ensure that you can kind of have a resilient system with oxygen being present in your gas stream. Then you go to the digital side of that equation and you tap into the whole world of IoT and real-time access to data, so you can do something with it. And then you superimpose on that the high-end computational and AI angle to start now finding better molecules, discover kind of ways in which you can dramatically change the chemistry of the process. So I think for us, that's kind of where the excitement is, at intersection of the digital and the physical.
Very
Thanks
interesting
very much.
aspects. And I really like the originator of thought coming from India and those and being a world-class research facility. I'll come back to most of you on that. But coming to you, Mr. Aggarwal, SLB operates a large service provider catering to pretty much all the super majors sitting here. Right? Can you describe what has been your experience finding cutting-edge talent? Because that is one very critical aspects of running R&D center, GCCs, or for any matter, for any organization in India. What has been your experience on the talent side, and maybe also touch upon how is SLB expanding in India?
All right. Thank you, Manu, and sorry for that. Thank you, Manu, and lovely to be here, exciting. So I think just to give you an overview of SLB's GCC first, we operate about 5 centers. We are expanding to 6th, and we have about 5,000 employees across 2 cities. It was a very conscious decision that we took in 2006. We were the first movers for GCC in oil and gas to move. I was fortunate to be part of that committee to decide. We started from a modest 60 people team in 2006 to 5,000 today. So the talent acquisition in India has never been a challenge, right? I mean, SLB has always believed that we'll recruit from wherever we work, recruiting from the premier institutes like IIT was the foundation for us. We have had many C-level executives coming from these premier institutes. So we started on the same fundamental principles. So I would like to tell that, we recruited about 500 people in last 2 years, including 60 from the premier institutes of IITs for GCC centers. And beyond the acquisition, right, I think talent development, early engagement has been the foundation on how we have been able to retain. Very proudly to say that GCC attrition rate across the 5 centers is less than 5%, whereas the industry average is about 14, right? So what have we done? Right, so the first one is on acquisition. So we started a program called Bridge Program that we engage with select universities, about 50 universities, about 60 students, 1 per university, give or take. And we mentor them from their end of 2nd year, so that there is an early engagement. They understand our processes and stuff, so they meet once a year with their mentors. So that's there. Once they come into the organization, we have a platform, around the Sanskrit words, Pratibha, Pratishtha, and Astitva, to make sure that they have a sense of belonging. What's their purpose? So that's been the second pillar. The third pillar that we really work on is, having operated GCCs for 16 years, and attrition less than 5, is that we have to keep motivating the team with fresh ideas. We cannot ask them to do the same mundane job day in and day out. So I think that's been a very, very core pillar. We have engineering centers that do the pre-feed work. We do have reliability centers, like some of my panelists said, which monitor the key projects around the world. The third one is we are looking at sustaining, right? And then the fourth is IT. So basically a diverse opportunities for them. And the fifth one that I think we have advantage in India is that we collaborate to give them a borderless career with operations. So we have a target that at least 6 to 7% of transfers that we do in a year would be between the GCCs and the active business at various levels. So that's a tech in a field program that we do so that they are current in their competencies as well as they continue to develop and rise. So this is one of the main challenges that we have overcome, and I'm very proud of it. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Aggarwal. I think that's a masterclass in retention of people.
No, I mean, it comes from the experience of our
absolutely,
GCC.
and I think talent has been one aspect. I've been associated with the industry for about 25 years. Talent has been one very critical aspect. Talent retention, talent growth has been an extremely critical aspect on how do you do that. But coming to you, maybe, sorry, Akshay, I had a question. You're setting up the offshore centers. You also have presence in Buenos Aires, Manila. What has been your experience setting up in Bangalore? Is it a bit different?
Yes, so Chevron has shared service centers in Manila and Buenos Aires. In fact, the one in Manila has been around for over 25 years. These shared service centers that we have in Manila and Buenos Aires primarily focus on business support functions like human resources, supply chain, procurement, IT, and more of the transactional type of work happens in those service centers, and they have been fabulously successful for us. In fact, the success of those shared service centers has been a key proof point for us as we launched the engine last August. We learned a lot from those shared service centers. How do we work across time zones? How do we standardize workflows that we bring from around the enterprise to a certain location? And how do we continue to improve productivity over time? So there's been a lot of good learnings from those centers. What we are doing at the engine is slightly different. We are hiring and recruiting for the hardcore technical disciplines that are bread and butter of the energy industry. So these include mechanical, petroleum, civil, structural, chemical engineers. We are hiring geologists and geophysicists, environmental science majors, all underpinned with a strong focus on AI and digital sciences as well. What we plan to do is to co-locate a lot of our AI and data science people with the domain experts in the technical functions. And that's a really important and key value proposition for the employees in the engine, because they get to work on these highly technical areas in a very collaborative manner. So this is a great time actually to be part of the energy industry, and it's even greater time to be part of the engine as we start it up. The world faces this incredible challenge of meeting the growing demand of energy that the world needs today while building out the lower carbon energy system of the future. And I think GCCs like the engine and the ones that my peers have give that opportunity to the immense talent, I'll use the words that Monte used, talent and scale, to be part of the solution.
Right. But although I like the wording talent at scale, that actually sums up the talent in India. But coming to you, Monty, on the GCC, do you see it has changed the future employment landscape in India? Do you see GCCs fulfilling the career ambitions of the best of best? Because I see a lot of people now aspiring either coming back to India, a lot of my global friends are coming back to India, and is India providing that global kind of employment opportunity, and how have GCCs have had a role in India? You've seen that for a very long time.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I can speak most confidently for us. I suspect where the GCC system began in India, it might not have been capable of providing the kind of fulfilling career that people would have wanted for the whole of a 31-year career. But I can say with great confidence today that we're looking for people here in India to solve the globe's biggest challenges, the ones that Akshay just mentioned, across all aspects of our business. I'm not going to list individual aspects because we're largely doing or intend to do everything in India that we do across the whole of our business. So as I look forward, after completing 3.5 years here, where I've seen our business change a lot, if I envision our organization chart, largely every part of it will be represented here in India. So if a person joins us as an engineer initially trying to do what we call global projects or build out large energy infrastructure projects across the world, they might have a mechanical, chemical engineering background. There are many, many, many opportunities for them to take those same skills and apply them to other aspects of our business in different value chains across different areas. So, we're hiring people here to be full citizens of the same global corporation that's made me happy to come to work for 31 years. And I can look in the eyes of young people who choose to join us today and say, you're going to have those same opportunities to fulfill all the potential that you have, to get deep in an area, if that's what really motivates you and makes you want to give your best, to move across areas every few years, and really to serve the globe from India, whether that means staying here and participating in global assets, or for some people perhaps moving as well. So I think the opportunities are unparalleled, and they continue to grow for us. I suspect they continue to do the same for my peers.
That's what I've seen. I've been part of some of the transitions, the expat roles that come out. I've seen people actually vying for it, and they really look forward to that role. And GCCs have definitely helped on creating a global, really global talent. Taking that thought, Varsha, coming to you, while the GCC space in India has seen a rapid growth because of most of the key ingredients for GCC success being there in India, which we have seen from most of the panels, what in your view are some of the key initiatives which can help promote the next round of growth?
Yeah, so thanks for this question. I think we talked a lot about talent. And I think, there is a real opportunity for us in the talent space to further build industry and academia partnerships in terms of developing the skills that we need for energy transition, energy evolution in our educational ecosystem. So I think, some of my peers here talked about some of the collaborations that they already have, but we do need a much more intentional development of this ecosystem through collaboration with universities as well as industry bodies and our own peers. So that's one. Secondly, I think, as the proliferation of GCCs increase in India, I mean, today we are 17% of the global GCC landscape. We have 2%, we're generating 2% of the GDP by 2030. Almost 100 billion in terms of revenue. I think it needs to be recognized to be a key pillar of India's future growth, and with that comes the necessary support that it needs from both the infrastructure as well as the policy framework. We've been really encouraged by the union budget announcement that a national framework is being formed, and the states will be given guidance in terms of developing GCC focus policies. I know that we already have in Karnataka, some of the other states also looking at it, like Maharashtra. But I think it'll be good for us to do some work together again with the industry and the government in terms of looking at the future needs of our industry and ensuring that we continue to remain competitive. And along with the talent, we are also able to provide the speed of, turnaround. There are few things, I think, in terms of our taxation, we still have a higher margin from a tax perspective. We've been working, with the ministries, with the industry bodies to kind of bring our case forward. It is much higher than other countries like Malaysia, for example, for Hungary, where we also operate in shared services. I think there are other things like SEZ to DTA movements. I think it'll be good also to consider some subsidies, especially around capital investments, interest support and so on, to basically encourage the GCC network to build even further within our ecosystem. And I think finally, I would say something around collaboration together with our peers. And I think, we have really felt supported by our peers in the industry and beyond as we set up our GCC, a lot of learnings, a lot of openness and transparency on the lessons learned. And I think we need to just continue to make sure that this kind of collaboration, best practices sharing, creating fungibility of talent ecosystem, this continues. So I think we've made great progress, but we are also at an inflection point where we can really take this acceleration to the next level and try to meet our ambitions to make that impact.
Great points, Varsha. Thank you very much. But coming to you, Dr. Sharma, while we talk about talent retention, I think you are the gold standard for it, right? So when you talk about on that, what keeps a talented oil and gas petroleum engineer stay in IOCL for such a long time? And anything you think that GCCs can learn from IOCL?
See, I think Indian oil attrition rate is about 1%, not more than 1%. So,
not a metric to track also.
yeah, and so see, we have a tagline at Indian Oil. We say that once an IOCN, always an IOCN. So that's a very important tagline which everybody carries in their mind, I will say. And our core values, especially we have core values, we had care, passion, innovation, and trust. Now we have added for last 2 years, nation first. So that also carries a lot of pride, I think, with the officers and others. So these two things, I think, the primary things which carry like attrition rates to bring down. Then we have a career path models are also well defined. Then we have a special mobility program in our HR side. So there are fixed mobility programs are there, and we have good facilities at our refineries and other places. So and then after that we have some good leadership programs at different levels. Say initial grades there is a program, then mid level there is a program, then at higher levels there is another program. So those programs are regularly given to all the officers. And then there are some special programs which we have launched, I think, in last 5 years. One of them is Swadhyay, where we have a data bank of about more than 2,000 courses and on different topics. So that is also there for their learnings and other things. Then we have also launched some programs like Paramarsh, where we have special program where people can go to, there is a doctor everywhere in all the locations who comes and gives a sort of consultation if somebody wants and he has some issues or something. So that sort of thing has also started about 2 years back. And I think a lot of initiatives have been taken for the well-being of the employees. So those things I will say. And one of the very good facility I will say here is the medical facility which is there for Indian Oil. I will say because just because this is one of the very important thing which is there at Indian Oil. Even after the once somebody is retiring, we have a very good medical facility here at Indian Oil. And of course, some people want to work in the government sector. So that also is one of
that I have heard. Medical point I have heard from multiple people.
Yes.
When one thing that keeps you at Indian Oil is the medical policy. I've heard it from many IOCs. But coming to you, Lalit, Aggarwal, changing it a bit also on the talent part, right? When you search for talent, a Bangalore, a Hyderabad, sometimes you say it's exhausted, but obviously when you establish, you still find more talent. But you've been one pioneer who've been establishing centers in tier 2 cities also. You're there in Coimbatore. Uh, how has been the experience on that, and from large workforce with a very low attrition rate also in the tier 2 city?
So, our experience has been extremely positive and wonderful. Back in 2006, sorry, I refer to that point quite a lot, we had an elaborate discussion, Bangalore, Pune, Chandigarh, and Hyderabad, right? So I think the founding principles was abundance of talent. Pune, with large amount of colleges, right, gave us the right spirit. That was one. Multidisciplinary education system, because we were looking for people from STEM. That was the primary, geology, geophysics. Proximity to the port in Bombay, should we have done some manufacturing at that time. So as we have progressed, and the country overall is developing. Today from Delhi to Pune, there are about 10 flights. Right, so that has helped a lot. In the initial years, logistics was a bit of a challenge. I think as the country is developing, we are getting far more connected. It's not an issue. Employees, I have asked this question, they prefer to be in a tier 2 city from ease of commute to the office, work-life balance, as well as the cost of living, which determines. So it has been positive. Second one that I really feel, specifically for Pune and a bit of Coimbatore, is the ecosystem, just like the Silicon Valley in US, is developing naturally. One of the global products that Shlomo's high radar is Lumi. That was developed with our digital center, software development, along with NVIDIA, based out of Pune. So, the whole ecosystem is developing, and I think we are doing very well on that front.
Great, yeah, great. Thank you very much. I think that's a shout out to companies who are thinking of coming to India to look at tier 2 cities also as a hub and spoke model as you evolve that, right? Coming to you, Ajay, do you think GC setup in India is a truly global sense? Because what I'm seeing is like Varsha and BP are doing, they're collaborating with ONGC and they have tie-ups. Exxon is also working a lot. Chevron is thinking on those lines. Obviously, Indian Oil collaborates a lot, right? Is the talent in Shell truly global also for India and being used also for Indian, or it still is that we will work on the global work out of India also? Do you think everything coming in, and like the Shell center is a Shell India center and a Shell Houston center is at par, or it's truly global?
Thank you for that question. No, we don't differentiate at all between that. I think for us, all of our folks in India are part of a bigger conversation. So when Monte said kind of full citizenship, that really kind of resonates, because we don't really think about it in terms of breaking down the kinds of problem sets that we will work on based upon a regional sort of a mindset, but more so what is the problem that's worth solving and who are the right people to go after it. In terms of kind of the talent itself, the folks that we have in Shell Technology Center, Bangalore, about 1,000 plus professionals that we have, these are folks who could work in any part of the world. They choose to work here. And so they can, if they are only going to stay, if the value proposition is compelling enough for them to kind of find that the kind of work that they are doing is truly solving world problems. And I think that's kind of what really makes this interesting for us, to kind of ensure that we are also maintaining that the kind of problems that we throw at our staff are truly at that leading edge. Otherwise they're not going to actually stay here. And that's the other aspect, that we've been fortunate now to have a couple of decades of experience here, and have been again fortunate to have a relatively low attrition from our technology centers, but it doesn't happen automatically. It takes a lot of effort and thinking to ensure that you're constantly giving people opportunity to upskill, that you're constantly giving people the opportunity to expand beyond kind of the pure technical realm in which they might have had their degree, and to kind of think of using their brain power for a broader problem set. We spend a fair bit of time in leadership and leadership training, so that there is kind of a talent management kind of a pipeline also for folks. For people who want to maintain a technical career, there has to be a very clearly established technical career path. So we don't want all our PhDs to feel that they have to go to the dark side and feel that that's the only way to progress up in the company. So those are the types of things that will allow people to stay. But it takes a lot of deliberate thinking and effort.
I'm sure. Because whenever we also advise organizations, we are now more and more seeing that it has to be a truly global workforce working out of
Absolutely.
India. It's not that you are part of one back office. That's completely gone days. Coming to you, Monte, do you think, and you've been here for and seen India grow, seen Exxon grow, and they got established. What can maybe the industry do to improve the India, while India is still one of the largest centers, and there are other centers, and you've seen the other countries also where these GCCs are being established. What can an India do, or Indian government do, to make it more attractive?
Yeah, well, I think we agree on a lot of the key elements. And if we look at the GCC sector overall and the competitiveness of India globally, the data would say India is competing pretty well. Right? So if I was going hand in hand with the government, my case might be a little bit weak. But I would say that if I look at taxation of the GCC space in India compared to some global examples, that is an area where the country is perhaps a little weak compared to others. Overall, we're all here for talent at scale, and I think we're doing a good job of getting people that are capable of solving the global's hardest problems, which is really what our industry is counted on to do. If everybody that got an education in India and chose to invest their family's money and their own time in a college education, if any of us would be happy taking all of those people, then I would say that is something that helps. We're all looking for the cream of the crop globally because the world counts on us to solve such a hard problem. So if I thought of two areas overall, just maybe a bit of strengthening in all of the education system so that everybody comes out at the level that we would like, and a bit of taxation reform might be helpful as well.
That's great. Maybe we have a short of time, but I think I'll just take one quick answer from everybody. On Akshay, on the again on the same aspect, expanding that. You've been here for a year. Do you see the ecosystem is good enough, and is the collaboration great across? Because as colleagues, while all of you compete, but definitely you also help each other, and that collaboration I've seen work beautifully. But do you see there's enough collaboration, or something more should be done about it?
Yes. I've been here for 4 months, but it does feel like a year. Maybe feels much longer than that. Yes, there has been immense collaboration. Most of my worthy peers here, we are partners across the world, whether it's in Kazakhstan or Australia or in the US. We have partnered, we have joint equity interests in some of the most complex projects around the world. So yeah, we do learn from each other. We do share best practices. So when I first arrived here, I did talk to 2 of the panelists here, and they gave me really good advice. And one of them was, make sure you have a good employee value proposition. And we believe that one of our core values at Chevron is that human ingenuity can solve the world's greatest challenges. And the employee value proposition that we have for the people at the engine is that they get to work on some of the most complex technical problems that will help deliver affordable, reliable, and ever cleaner energy to this growing world.
Thanks, Akshay. Varsha, quick one from you. You mentioned about AI ML, and I can't resist myself asking because that is a topic of interest. While this panel is not for that, but has AI ML actually helped you reduce cost, growth, or do you think it's early days?
I think we've got some clear use cases where it's made an impact. We are looking to see wider proliferation across the enterprise to really maximize it. But some of the examples that I talked about in our Pune BTC itself, where for example, we have used AI for building an in-house tool called Factories, which actually helps us make our factoring process much more efficient, which is to say that it improves our working capital availability. So that's been a brilliant use case developed on nearly without any cost out of our BTC in Pune, and I think I have a huge amount of optimism with what we can do with this technology in the future. The second example was around our preventive system maintenance. So we are also using AI to do preventive system maintenance, so we can actually find these disruptions ahead of the issue actually happening. And that has been a success case out of our technology center in Pune itself. Having said that, I think there is a lot of excitement around AI and ML. We've been exploring various areas, for example, on the customer experience side, in our procurement space, and in some of our horizontal processes. I think we are very close to finding that opportunity which is much more impactful. But so far, I think the use cases we've developed here give us a lot of hope and optimism that we can actually get better outcomes.
While we run out of time, I'll just take one-word answers. On the culture part, Dr. Sharma, you said pride in IOCL. Does culture play a role a lot on the organization and the talent part?
Yes, I feel that, yeah, surely.
Right? And similarly, I think, Ajay, I've been working with Shell for a long time on the culture part. Do you migrate the culture, a global Shell culture to the India?
Absolutely, yeah. A very short answer. We talk in Shell a lot about that culture eats strategy for lunch every day.
Great. And last question, Lalit, to you, the same culture part. While you work, you're a bit unique. You work with, you're largely a service provider where you have different clients, pretty much like what we do. How do you manage the culture part? Because you need to have varied cultures. You're working with Shell.
So culture works across the organization, right? It's not a purview of only the business. So we adopt the same. And what I've found is GCC, the folks working that have started their career in GCC, they're very excited about the culture. And it's a culture that has to permeate. You know, there is a national culture and there is a multinational culture that we bring. I think that's the fabric we are spinning.
Right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think you've hit on a very, very critical subject, and one of the things that I'm most passionate about. Globally, in ExxonMobil, we've articulated what we think is required in our culture, which we call We Are ExxonMobil. And what we're working toward in India is what I chose to call We Are ExxonMobil with Indian flair. That means that our people are sufficiently similar to their colleagues across the globe that they can fully succeed and achieve their potential. But also we unleash fully the things that are very unique and powerful in India, like the inherent problem-solving capability that our people have. So we're trying to find that proper balance such that our people are sufficiently similar to their global colleagues and they fit that full citizen mold, but that also there's some incredibly unique things in India that I think are very, very powerful, and we don't want to do anything to constrain those.
Great, thank you. I'm really sorry we run out of time, but key aspects, I think what my learnings have been, and I'm sure I have come out more educated in the last 1 hour about GCCs and the others. I'm sure most of you would have learned. Having a global workforce really matters. Culture is a great thing. India is an abundant talent. Obviously, there are so many of us. Obviously, we are a talented lot. And collaboration across really helps while they continue to compete in that front, right? So I'll end the session based on that note. And thank you very much, every one of you. It was a real fun session for me, and I'm sure it was great to do that.